guys, it's another finger here on YouTube, and welcome to Taiwanese Reports, where I talk about news mostly related to the cross-strait relations from a Taiwanese perspective and translate how the general Chinese public versus Taiwanese public are reacting to the event on the internet. So today I would like to cover the China spy balloon incident, and first let me make a brief summary of the whole situation in a nutshell for you. So about a week ago, a huge balloon was spotted flying across Montana, which the US identified as a surveillance balloon from China and suspected that it was for the purpose of spying on them. Other similar balloons were also spotted in other places like South America. Many US citizens were concerned, with some even strongly urging the US government to shoot down the balloon as soon as possible. The US Secretary of State Blinken also openly condemned this behavior and postponed his trip to China. Meanwhile, China the whole time denied the accusation of spying on the US, claiming that China is a responsible country that has always respected international law and sovereignty of other countries. And when China finally confirmed that the balloon was indeed from China, they claimed that it was just a weather balloon and urged the US to deal with it calmly. Few days later, the US finally shut down the balloon and started the investigation of what's actually in the balloon and what its purpose is likely to be. As a response to this, China first blamed them for overreacting and warned that it would worsen the relationship between the two countries. Then they also claimed that the purpose of the balloon was in fact to test the US sincerity and willingness to improve the relationship with China. And according to the Pentagon, China even refused the call to talk about this incident. And of course, while they're showing aggressions to the US sovereignty with the balloon, they certainly haven't lowered the level of aggressions they've been having on Taiwan. According to the CIA, the CCP leader Xi has ordered his military to be fully prepared for the invasion of Taiwan by 2027, just 4 years from now. Okay, so as always, I've been following this news on the subreddit for Chinese people to see if I can grab onto any information on how people over there are reacting to this event. And unsurprisingly, the little pinks, the loyal CCP supporters are just having the same attitude as they always do. They seem to see this event as another win for the glorious CCP. And according to them, the whole event is just a huge embarrassment for the US. So I found this post on the subreddit basically summarizing the general reactions they've seen on Chinese social media such as Weibo, and here I'm going to translate part of it to you. So when the US media first reported the China spy balloon appearing in Montana, people were like, oh, this is clearly a frame, it's just painting China in a bad light. And when their own Ministry of Foreign Affairs came out and admitted that the balloon was indeed from China, but it was only for scientific research, people were like, oh, this balloon is just so high that there's no way the US can shoot it down. It just shows how advanced the Chinese technology is. And then when the balloon was actually shot down, people started to make fun of the US for using a fighter aircraft to shoot down a mere balloon, and people were saying like, we basically used a broken balloon in exchange for missiles, so this is clearly another win for China. And another narrative I keep seeing people pushing is that this incident and the way the US is handling it is an indication that the superpower is weakening. Like the US as the world leader is going downhill. Now, I personally don't exactly know how they were able to make this conclusion. The claim just doesn't really make any sense to me. But all of these claims that I just showed you, you can easily find quite a few videos people make on Chinese social media, basically pushing the same narratives and making the same claims. But of course, not all Chinese people are these little pinks, and I have seen quite a few comments from the Chinese netizens that I personally think make a lot of sense and might just reflect part of the reality. So one speculation that I've seen quite a few people making is that likely this whole spy balloon incident is all just an act. So the tension between the US and China did not rise because of the balloon incidents, but even before this incident, likely the two countries already decided that they cannot see eye on eye, they cannot agree with each other, and Blinken was never planning to actually visit China, so the US is also kind of using this as an excuse to cancel his trip to China. And since it has been reported that China has apparently been sending quite a few of this balloon to the US already in the past, it's definitely plausible that this is all just an act to convince the public from both sides to hate the government on the other side and sort of justify any actions they might take after this. Now, when it comes to the Taiwanese public reactions to this, I have to say it's quite an interesting position to be in looking at this whole situation when we're so used to having our airspace being violated by China on a daily basis. So soon after the news about the balloon being spotted in Montana, the head of our Central Weather Bureau made a post saying that the same balloon has already been spotted in Taiwan like 2 years ago, and they even took a picture of it and even made a post about it, but it didn't seem to get much attention at the time, and most Taiwanese people, including myself, have no idea about this whatsoever. So under that post, the comments basically fall into two sides. One side of the comments interestingly matches the narrative of China, which is that the US is overreacting to a mere balloon, and this argument is objected by the other side of the comments, saying that it is not the US overreacting, it is Taiwan significantly underreacting when it comes to foreign forces violating our airspace and our sovereignty. But other than this post, I haven't really seen much reactions coming from Taiwanese people regarding this incident other than a few memes here and there. So I guess when you're constantly having dozens of warplanes flying over the top of your head, a spy balloon really would be the last thing you worry about, and it does kind of make sense why people are not paying much attention to it. So on the surface, it might seem like Taiwan has nothing to do with this whole China spy balloon incident whatsoever, but we all know that Taiwan has always been and will always be caught in between China and the USA. And the thing is, from Taiwanese perspective, at times, depending on the situation, it might even be a better news seeing China and the US not getting along, because if the two countries are not under this competition to fight for the ultimate superpower of the world, Taiwan would have already been unified a long time ago. And this time, throughout the whole spy balloon incidents, there's at least one thing that I'm glad to see, that China is provoking the US directly instead of using Taiwan as their punching bag, as they always do. So this time, both sides is making it very clear that this is a conflict between the two countries, instead of using Taiwan as an excuse for their actions, as they always do. So this is of course just my guess, but we all know that if China invades Taiwan, the US may or may not jump in to help. Of course, they say that it would, but who knows? But if China continues to provoke the US directly, it might increase the chance of the US jumping in and getting themselves involved in a case of invasion. But even if it might increase the chance of Taiwan surviving, if the tension between the US and China continues to rise, then it's definitely possible to turn into a full-scale World War III that would get most part of Asia involved. And of course, nobody wants to see that, so hopefully it doesn't happen. I personally hope that the two countries just continue to remain peaceful on the surface and keep being these two superpowers that keep each other in balance. Okay, so that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it, so please leave a like if you did, and please subscribe for more Taiwanese Reports content. And also please consider supporting me on Patreon for more exclusive contents over there, and you can even take Mandarin Chinese lessons with me over there, so please definitely check it out if you're interested. I'll leave a link in the description for you. Thank you again, and I will see you in the next video.